YouTube. Getting ready to go live on YouTube. Shout out. What's up, Monty? What's up, Ant? Shout out to my people that's going to be coming into the YouTube sphere as well, guys. Make sure when you guys come on YouTube, go ahead and definitely subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Elijah McClain not guilty verdict. We're going to also be talking about a number of polls that's been coming out lately showing that, Joe Biden is in some serious trouble with the black votes. So we're going to be discussing that tonight, guys. I definitely glad that everybody's coming up in here. If you're on Twitter, definitely go ahead and retweet the space out. For my people that's on YouTube, like I said, definitely go ahead and definitely hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Definitely make sure you share out the broadcast tonight. Definitely go ahead and like it, comment, all that good stuff. Also, make sure that you visit Newstoter.com to stay up to date on breaking black news. Newstoter.com to stay up to date on breaking black news in Black America, guys. And like I said, I know everybody, you saw the ordeal with the Elijah McClain situation. Not that the actual not guilty verdict was anything that was shocking or surprising. It's pretty much business as usual here in America. Nonetheless, fortunately, that brother's family, they were denied justice, and that's still an ongoing situation as well, too. So I'm going to touch up on that in just a second. I'm going to also, like I said, we're going to touch up on the situation with the Republicans, Democrats, the presidential election coming up. It looks like, as always, it's going to be Trump and it's going to be Biden. I saw some other poll right before I got online saying that RFK Jr. was polling. I guess he was polling better with younger voters in certain states than Biden and Trump. So, a lot of people kind of worried about, RFK Jr. coming in there and snatching up some votes from Joe Biden. A lot of Democrats are worried about that, even though I don't think he has a realistic shot of winning. People are still a little bit leery of that. What's going on? I see black majorities stayed up in the space as well, too. So shout out to black. And guys, I guess I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to touch up on this Elijah McClain situation real quick. DJ, how's the audio? You can hear me straight? Okay, Black gave me the hands up. So yeah, this is from one of our curation partners, NABJ. We're going to go ahead. It's up in the Jumbotron, the actual articles for the night. And it's also in the description for my guys and ladies over there on YouTube. You guys can always check out the articles. It's in the description as well, too. It says, what to know about Elijah McClain's death in the case against police and paramedics. So I'm just going to touch up briefly on this. A jury has acquitted a Denver area police officer of manslaughter following trial testimony that he put Elijah McClain in the neck hole before the black man was injected with a powerful sedative, ketamine, by paramedics and died. The acquittal came Monday in the second of three trials against first responders indicted by state prosecutors in the 23-year-old massage therapist's death in August 2021. The local district attorney initially declined to bring charges, but the case was revived after the 2020 murder of George Floyd spurred social justice protests nationwide. Prosecutors contend Officer Nathan Woodyard's actions, including the neck hole, contributed to McClain's passing away, but defense attorneys convinced the 12-person jury that the officer wasn't responsible, arguing Woodyard wasn't present during crucial moments in the confrontation with McClain. First trial ended in a split verdict with one of the officers found guilty and another acquitted. McClain's mother, Sheena McClain, left the courthouse Monday with a fist raised in the air. A supporter who accompanied her called the verdict pathetic and a sign that the justice system was not changing. Paramedics Jeremy Cooper and Lieutenant Peter Chinook with the fire department face prosecution. The final trial jury selection begins November 17th. I know I messed that name up, but it's something else. Here's what you need to know about the criminal trials and why the officers and the paramedics was charged. Local prosecutors initially decided to bring charges in McClain's death largely because an initial autopsy didn't determine exactly how he died following the protests over Floyd's death. The governor directed the state attorney general to reinvestigate McClain's case. A grand jury indicted 3 officers and 2 paramedics in 2021 Dr. Stephen Sinney, a forensic pathologist who performed McClain's autopsy, said he changed his findings to pin the blame on the sedative in 2021 after looking at the body camera footage. Why did police stop McClain? Woodyer was the first of three officers who approached McClain after a 17-year-old 911 caller said McClain, who was wearing earbuds and listening to music, seemed sketchy and was waving his arms as he walked home on the night of August 24, 2019. McClain was often cold and wore runners, mask, and jacket despite the warm weather, prosecutors said in the indictment. The encounter quickly escalated. Prosecutor said Woodyer put his hands on McClain within 8 seconds of getting out of a patrol car without introducing himself. McClain, seemingly caught off guard, tried to keep walking. Then after Officer Ryan Rodemia said that McClain had reached for one of their guns, Woodyer had put him in a neck hold, pressing against the artery, which rendered him temporarily unconscious. Joy said McClain didn't try to get a gun, but defense attorney Megan Downing said Woodyer had to react quickly to protect everyone since the officers did not have the luxury of hindsight to know whether McClain posed a threat. The paramedics later injected McClain with the overdose of ketamine, and he was pronounced dead 3 days later. Woodward had been charged with manslaughter and criminally neglect homicide. Rodemia was convicted earlier this month of the least serious charges. He faced negligent homicide and third-degree assault. He faces a sentence of anywhere from probation to prison time. Rosenblatt was acquitted. What do the first two trials mean for the paramedics? The actions of Cooper and Chinchinuk, or whatever his name is, loomed over the first two trials. They're charged with manslaughter, negligent homicide, and several counts each of assault, all felonies. Defense attorneys for the officer repeatedly said it was the injection, not their clients, that caused McClain's death. In Woodyer's case, the defense brought in a paid expert witness who has worked for the prosecution in paramedics case, Dr. Nadia Levitz, an emergency room doctor who has worked as a paramedic, said Cooper and Chinjanik did not follow the training protocols in caring for McClain. There are people guilty of killing Elijah, but they are not here today, defense attorney Andrew Ho said during closing arguments. In Woodger's case, he added, referring to the paramedics, that it was decided to give him an overdose of 500 milligrams of ketamine, despite being explicitly trained not to do so. Prosecutor experts also said the ketamine was the ultimate cause of death, and at the officer's violent stop, McClain set in motion events that led to and contributed to his killing. A use of force expert has been tracking the McClain case, said it was unusual for medical professionals to be brought to trial for the death of a person in police custody. When paramedics show up at a scene, they have to make fast decisions, obviously, and they base the decisions based on what the officers are telling them and then apply what they believe in proper course of treatment, said an attorney and the use of force, a training advisor who spent more than 2 decades in law enforcement. That was Ed Aboshia. So, yeah. Hey, shout out to everybody coming up in the space. You got paramedics sitting up here injecting people. You got cops up here stopping people for no reason. He was already racially profiled. 17-year-old decided to get up and make a 911 call, talking about the individual looks sketchy. Now, he's 17 years old. He's talking about how this person looked. This person looks sketchy. So all around, just a tragedy that took place. The paramedics and the cops both should be had and found guilty of this right here, but they're going to try to find a way to squeeze it out. Like you say, you already got one cop that was able to get off, and we're going to see exactly what goes on. This isn't over with, but, I don't know if I heard of, paramedics, a situation arises with a cop and you got paramedics injecting people with actual, with actual drugs and stuff. I'm not exactly sure how that goes about, trying to just sedate people and I guess get them under control or whatever. But either way, they played a major part in this brother's death as well too. And the Elijah McClain situation happened, and when that happened, that was the George Floyd. Everything was going on with that, and they had to bring it back. They had pretty much had to bring that case back up. They didn't really want to. The actual governor of the state, what's the guy named Jared Pelosi, he actually had them retry this and bring it back up, else it would have been pretty much buried. But with the situation with George Floyd, a lot of cases that wouldn't have got a second look actually did get a second look because, everybody was under the microscope at that point in time. So, I'm hoping that his family can get some justice. His poor mother had to go in there. I don't know how a lot of the actual family members take going in there, and if you lose a family member, and then it's like you have to go back in the court and you have to hear the actual hit a description of how that person lost their lives and stuff like that. I just never really knew how they could really take that. It has to be so emotional. It's like you're going through this whole situation all over again. You're hearing the details, the last few minutes, last few seconds of that person's life. And it just seems like it would just be oh so draining to have to hear that over and over again. And like I say, my heart goes out to the family, the paramedics, the cops. They all played a major role in the actual death. They all should be charged and they all should be convicted. But will they? Like I said, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. You got both the cops and the paramedics trying to put the finger, trying to blame the other one. They're both blaming each other for the actual passing of Elijah. So rarely do you see the firefighters and the paramedics, with the actual paramedics and the actual police actually pointing the blame at the other one, trying to say, "Well, no, we didn't do it. No, you did it. You were the one that caused him to pass away." But that's exactly what we got right now. Nobody wants to go to jail, so they're trying to go ahead and push it off on another person. So rest in peace to Elijah. I want to touch up on, let me give a shout out real quick to Congita. But everybody's okay in the space? Because I know sometimes we have some issues in these spaces. So if you guys, if the actual volume and everything is cool, Congita, can you hear me straight? Like, can you guys hear me straight? I know sometimes I see Mel, she's up in here. You guys can hear me straight. Just give me a thumbs up. I know Black gave me a thumbs up earlier. I know sometimes the audio. Okay, Ant gave me a thumbs up. So just checking to make sure that everything is everything, guys. Shout out to all y'all joining me. What's up? I see Miss Mel up in the space tonight as well, too. So shout out to Mel. And of course, we got to speak on this whole thing with the poll situation going on, man. We gearing up. We getting ready to go into 2024. Next year is going to be the moment of truth, so to speak. I mean, and damn, if you look at the news, like how many more charges they gonna hit Trump with? I mean, they say you're trying to get this dude up out the spot, you're trying to get him up out the spot. They're trying to make sure that Trump, and I'm no Trump supporter, but they're trying to make sure that Trump he's not gonna be able to run for president. Every time you turn around, it seems like there's a new charge that they're hitting him with. So right now you got this going on. They're talking about his businesses and this and that or whatever. Did he do this with the business? Did he do that with the business? Like, you can't keep up with the amount of charges that Donald Trump has been hit with over the last 6-7 months. You really can't. I want to touch up on this thing about the polls and everything that's going on right now. And and black voters play a key role in this election coming up. And I know a lot of people say, after the 2024 election, if we don't do this, we won't do that. Our votes are going to be meaningless and worthless. I don't know if you can ever really say that. I don't, even if you say that, another block should pass it. You got to remember that black voters are the most loyal voting block in the entire nation. I don't think black voters are ever going to just be, I don't care how many people you bring in from the country to try to out of the country to phase them out and this and that or whatever. The black vote is going to always carry weight in this country. And we need to go ahead and realize that as well, too. You're talking about the most loyal voting block in the United States, in the history of the United States. There's never been another voting block as valuable to a party and as loyal and dependable to a party as you've had with black people. So on that note, let me go ahead and touch up on this real quick as well, too. Shout out to my people coming over there on YouTube. You guys, make sure you go ahead and share that out. From the Neo Jim Crow, one of our curation partners, also up in the Jumbotron, says new polls, black voters supporting Trump at unseen levels for re-election. New poll data found that not only would Donald Trump defeat Joe Biden if a presidential election was held today, but he would also do so while enjoying a level of support from black voters in crucial battleground states previously unseen by a Republican candidate seeking the White House. So you're talking about history right here. And of course, we know the polls are definitely, it's not a done deal until the actual election comes, but just what they're seeing right now, the results of the polls conducted by the New York Times and Siena College found that Biden is trailing Trump in swing states expected to play outsized roles in the 2024 election, including some that previously helped secure Biden's victory in 2020. of those states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, just one shows Biden beating Trump by a slim margin. I wonder which one had Biden beating Trump and how slim and how close that margin was. On a more granular level, there are more black voters from those states, 22% of them supporting a Republican presidential candidate than ever previously recorded. The New York Times reported black voters, a longtime supporter of Democrats and Mr. Biden, are now registering 22% support in these states for Mr. Trump, a level unseen in presidential politics for Republican in modern times. While polling is far from definitive, it can provide an indication of trends. In recent months, unsubstantiated reports have increased, suggesting that more black voters are supporting Trump. Just last week, Republican Florida Representative Byron Donald said, without proof, that more black Americans say we got to have Trump back. And I don't know how many black people say we got to have his back. It's just compared. You may have somebody say we'll vote for him, but all that we're going to have his back. I don't know. Also, last weekend, former NFL players and twin brothers Marquise and Mike Pouncey were photographed smiling at Mar-a-Lago to see Trump. If you guys don't know the Pouncey twins, and of course I'm a football fan, these dudes used to play at the University of Florida, Florida Gators. One went to the Miami Dolphins. The other one went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they were good friends with Aaron Hernandez. Of course, Aaron Hernandez was the one that actually went to prison for actually deleting his friend and was accused of double homicide and everything else. And so the Pouncey twins, I'm not totally surprised they would support Trump, but hey, Pouncey twins have always been pretty outspoken characters as well, too. About 1 week earlier, rapper Waka Flocka Flame became the most recent member of the hip-hop community to express solidarity with and support for Trump, following similar comments from Sexy Red. I'm not exactly sure why we always go into why are we using entertainers and athletes to talk about, the black vote? 22% of the black vote, they said in these swing states may go to Trump. What does that have to do with entertainers and athletes? Okay, I really don't understand that correlation, but okay. Trump also said he thought his mugshot from his indictment in Georgia for allegedly trying to overturn the 2020 election in Fulton County may have quadrupled his support among black voters. A racist narrative first pushed by conservatives who think black people love criminality and commiserate with Trump out of shared victimization from an unfair criminal justice system. Yeah, a lot of white folks is pushing that. Like it was a backhanded compliment or something like that. Now, any other time that black people have a mugshot and they're arrested for something, they just criminals. Now you got these people on the far right sitting up here and talking about, okay, well now we share this commonality with Donald Trump as before. Any other time when a black person get arrested or this and that or whatever, it's not the system's fault. And that's not to say you don't have guilty black people commit crimes, but any other time it's like, oh well, you guys you brought it on yourself and this and that. And all of a sudden now we got this commonality with Trump because he's taking a mugshot. A poll in September found that Biden was losing ground with black voters, his most loyal base of voters, while the nation's overall electorate was seemingly split between the incumbent and Trump. Data that doesn't bode well for Biden. The data from CNN's poll largely consistent with a poll conducted over the last year by the ongoing New York Times and Siena College, which previously found that Biden is underperforming among non-white voters. I remember earlier this year they was talking about the Latinos. A lot of Latinos supposedly was not happy with Joe Biden as well. They felt like he had neglected them. He hadn't done enough for them. He had he wasn't taking care of business. The black vote, I believe they were saying in the other election, the past election, that you had something like close to 20% of black men, they said, voted for Donald Trump. And I don't know how accurate that was, but I've heard that number put out there before. But now in some of these battleground states, these swing states, if you get actually 22% of the black people that's registered to vote to actually go and vote for Joe Biden, to vote for Donald Trump, then Joe Biden is going to be in a world of hurt. He can't possibly pull it off if 22% of those people in some of those states that he won, and not in the biggest margin anyways, but if those black folks actually go and they vote Donald Trump, he's going to have a very, very hard time. And apparently he's not polling too well with a lot of non-white voters as well too. Like I said, you had Latinos talking about that they felt neglected, that he didn't do enough. So I'm pretty sure a lot of them are upset about the actual border issues because he's not letting as many illegal immigrants come in as as they think he should. He's having to actually stand up and try to do something to kind of push back, which is not what they want to hear from a Democrat. So yeah, guys, this is what we're discussing tonight. We're talking about the polls. We're talking about black people, the key that black people vote. And think about this here too, because we also have this major push. And original, when you get a chance, I definitely want to hear what you got to say about this. Aunt Lai, when you get a chance, if you get a chance to come up here tonight, I want to hear what you got to say about the Elijah McClain verdict as well too. I know that you were involved in law enforcement, so you know exactly how the system works. But think about this right here. You have this major push, and I see black majority state. He's in the space, and I know he sometimes black tweets out the boycott Biden flyer as well too. I know it's a cat on Twitter and YouTube. The guy with the little monkey outfit or whatever he does the boycott Biden vote thing, but if you get 22% of black people in these swing states to go ahead and say, you know what, we're going to ride with Trump, and then you get a significant number of other black people say, you know what, I'm not going to even worry about voting. It's looking pretty grim for a lot of for the Democrats in terms of trying to hold on to the White House. Not only that, I just saw the other day, and I just tweeted out actually earlier today, you had what's her name? Oh Jesus! What's the girl? What's the lady name? Stacey Abrams down there in Georgia. Stacey Abrams was basically trying to say that Kamala Harris has been treated a certain way because people are racist. Basically it's racism why she's being dogged the way she's being dogged. And what Stacey is kind of missing out that hey, I'm not going to say racism doesn't play a certain degree to it. I'm not going to say it doesn't. There's a certain amount of people that hey, they see her, whether you believe her to be a black American, to be melanated immigrant, whatever you believe her to be, they see her because of her skin tone is not being qualified. But let's not forget also, there's a whole lot of black people that don't see her as being qualified. There's a whole lot of black people that's not satisfied with the job that Kamala Harris has done either while she's been vice president. So yeah, you do have that. You do have that MAGA crowd that just simply for the fact that she's a Democrat and simply for the fact that she's a melanated woman. Yeah, a lot of people don't like her for that point either. But there's a good amount of black people haven't forgot, Kamala Harris, her time out there in California. They haven't forgotten Kamala Harris, some of the things she said about what she's not going to do simply for black people. And you've seen her, pretty much bending over backwards to do stuff for other groups as well too. So Stacey Abrams, it seems like whenever it's election time, either they trot her out there to go ahead and run in elections that they know she has no chance whatsoever of winning. Everybody knew she wasn't going to be the governor of Georgia, yet they trotted her out there for a second time in a row. And now they're trying to send her out here and they're trying to go ahead and say, you know what? The reason y'all don't like Kamala Harris is because you just racist. Well, what about the black people who ain't racist that don't rock with Kamala? Are they racist too? Or maybe they just don't think that she's doing a good job or think that she's a good vice president. Are the black people that don't support her, which is it's a decent amount of black people that don't. Most black people support her because most black people are Democrats and most black people want to see, they feel like, hey, as long as she's up there in the White House, one of us is up there as well too. So a lot of black people see it that way. But if you're black and you're not a supporter of her, are you racist? One would like to know. What's going on, Mel? How you doing tonight?
Hey, what's going on, Toter? Doing fine, and yeah, you must have some new equipment because real quick, your voice all of a sudden started coming in all extra crisp and clear, and I'm like, dang, what's going on? So you sounded real good. Reason why I came up here is on this Kamala. Our immediate response question to anyone who's trying to toss that narrative around that race is being used against her is, let's ask Kamala, what race are you referring to? Because you AKA'd it when you were running as a vice president with Joe and you had them Chuck shoes on and you was doing all this and 2/3 and at the cookout, acting like you down for for whatever. Then you get in and now I'm not black, I'm Indian, and now you've made your statement of you're not going to do anything that solely benefits black people. And so, what race are y'all talking about? What race is being held against Kamala Harris? Since y'all want to just throw innuendo out, okay, she's not repping black. And why does she get to play the race card and feel impacted by it? Now all of a sudden we're supposed to have pity and compassion and understand and see her perspective, but yet we've been hollering race and discrimination and reparations and we're being told to forget about it. This shit don't exist and this, that, 2/3. So let's throw it right back on Stacey's big ass, which I have no, shouldn't even be calling her that. Shouldn't be talking about people, but I am tonight. Okay? We need to throw that right back on Stacey Abrams' big ass. Throw it right back on Kamala Harris' ass. If you play the race card, then we're playing the race. I mean, just stop the madness. So let's put that question right back in there for you. I'm in.
Thank you, Mel. Um, that's what I'm saying. Like they tried her, they tried Stacey out here. When it's time to put her up there to run for governor of Georgia, and they tried her out here. I guess she's supposed to be, giving some aid to actual. And when a lot of times when they put the black people out here, they're doing it for other black people. Like, yeah, she's trying to go ahead and she's trying to say, yeah, racism, this and that, whatever. But it's also a way of also getting on black people as well, too. Like, well, you know, y'all have to support her. So by saying that, yeah, it's racist and this and that or whatever. So if you're black and you don't go against her, then you're supporting this racist narrative that she's not good enough to handle the job and this and that or whatever. So that's pretty much what they're trying to go ahead and play that narrative or whatever. I, People don't want to see Kamala Harris, and that's one thing that's also hurting. That's going to hurt Biden, I think, come election time. People do not want to see Kamala Harris. Even her own party don't want to see her be the Democrat, be the president of the United States. Even the Democrats don't want to see it. People looking at Joe Biden, the way Joe Biden is moving, the way Joe Biden is talking, the way he's rumbling, stumbling, bumbling, falling all over the place, and people are fearful that, hey, if Joe Biden becomes, and I'm talking about his own party, if Joe Biden becomes president of the United States again, will he be able to make a full term in health? So people say, well, if he doesn't make it, of course, we know who's going to be the president. So a lot of Democrats don't want to see it. A lot of moderates that's supposed to be, even independents don't want to see Kamala Harris be the next president of the United States as well, too. So that's another problem they have right now. They really don't want to come out and say it. But I think that she's talking really when really Stacey and them they're talking to the, it's not so much the MAGA crowd, because the MAGA crowd don't care if you call them racist or whatever. But she's talking to some of the white folks in her own party, and she's talking to black people as well too. She's telling, hey, well, yeah, y'all need to go ahead and knock it off. They see the actual black support kind of waning a little bit. So people are nervous. They're really, really nervous right here. They're saying, well, we can't win with these numbers like this. If
Well, but Total, the thing with this whole narrative, and one has to wonder like what's underlying, because I can't remember the lady's name. I guess she's a new politician or whatever, new in office, and she had the audacity to be on that news channel and say, this is how black people are processing white people and the politicians, and they just don't understand. Like, bitch, who are you? First of all, you don't speak for us, and you damn sure don't speak for me, because what you said, I don't agree with what the woman is saying. So it's this. Let me use very generalized terms about black people, and I don't know how this benefits them, but it's take this big brush, paint every nigga you can with it, with a narrative that is non-applicable. And what is the point? We're not playing the thing against Kamala Harris. But since you want to come out and play like we are, then Kamala, we need you to pick a race, pick an ethnicity. Because if it's the Indians that are holding it against you, then you can focus the shit on them. But why are we just the rug? You know what I'm saying? We're the doormat for y'all just to come through it. I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Well,
I agree. I agree. And it's like this right here too. It's election time, so and come next year, she's gonna get really, really black again. She's gonna get really, really black because they have a black problem at this point in time. So she's got to darken it up a little bit. She's gonna have to sister it up a little bit. She's gonna have to talk about her time at the HBCUs and the hip hop she used to listen to and all that other stuff. And she's gonna have to talk about Kwanzaa and everything else as well too. It's time to get a little bit blacker, get a little bit darker now.
Do
She
that bullshit ass dance she was doing with that, get that hard to the rock and to the right, and then hit a double beat, and then hit it to the left. Bitch, if you don't sit down with your
remember Mel, not remember the cursing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, daughter. My bad.
Well, no, that's good. That's cool, but hey, they're in desperation right now. I was talking to my dad about that, and I was telling him about the actual. And I was telling him, I said, in some of these places, they talking about that, as much as 20 some odd percent of black people may possibly vote. He's like, I don't believe that. Of course, he's a Democrat or whatever. He's like, I don't believe that. Now, it's one thing if you say you may have a lot of black people that may not vote or whatever, but I don't believe no 20% of black people in this country gonna vote for no Donald Trump. I just no Republicans. I just don't believe that. I said, well, from what they said in the last election, you had they talk about it was close to 20% of black men actually voted for him. You're like, yeah, but that's black men. I don't see the whole black. I don't see the whole black population. 20% of them voting for him. I said, well, I know one thing. The actual polling, they're worried about the polling. They come out with all these polling results and got all this talking and stuff like that. They've been worried for a while. They've been worried for a while. So it's damage control time right now. It's really damage control time right now. Like I said, they're worried about the Latino voters as well too, but they also understand the Latino voters. They're never gonna get they're never gonna get the bulk of the Latino voters. It's always gonna be a split here, split there. The way how razor thin that some of these elections are coming, they still need 90% of the black vote to be successful. If they're getting 85% of the black vote, they're done. They're done. If they're getting 80 to 85%, they're gonna be done. They're gonna lose the actual election. So they gotta keep around 90% to have a chance. It's gotta be around 90%. 88, 89, you maybe can get by, but if you start talking about anywhere from 80 to 85%, you're in the world of trouble there. You just really are. I see Trouble's up here. What's up, Trouble? How you doing tonight?
Hey, Newstoter. Shout out to the black family who done pulled up to the cut. Good to see all of you all tonight. Sister Mel, hooty hoo, DJ. So real quick, I'm not gonna be long winded tonight. I just listening at what you were all was saying, and it baffles my mind that every election cycle it sort of kind of seems like we go through this thing where Democrats are not getting the black vote in the numbers. At least the polling isn't showing that they're getting the numbers. And every election cycle, they never switch up the rhetoric. They don't do anything different. They run out of the gate and do the same thing, slam black Americans and try to make it seem as if we are politically confused. And every time they do that, they get slammed and bammed and knocked upside the wall, and they get a lot of pushback. So I don't understand why they haven't changed their political strategy when it comes to engaging with black voters, male and female. They still haven't yet figured out how to come at black men to get those votes, and they continue to say, oh, well, it's the black males doing this, the black males doing that. But when you look at who's voting, black males vote for you probably more than white men vote for you. I mean,
Ain't no problem in terms of just percentage. They do.
So to me, it's like switch your rhetoric all up. And another thing about that is you're not listening to us. You're not paying attention. And it feels intentional to come out rather than seek what it is that we need in order to go into the polling season with extremely high numbers from black Americans. They would rather slam us It's intentional that they do that. At this point in time, it's like, if you really cared about our vote, if you really wanted our vote, if you really wanted your numbers to be higher, why aren't you asking us what it is that we want? Because you basically know what it is that we want, but you are unwilling to give it to us. And it's simpler for you to just come out and trash us as, being too emotional people, immature, politically immature, and it's a problem. It's a whole problem at this point. They don't want our votes. They just want to look like they want our votes so that they can continue to do what it is that they're already doing, which is bringing this other class of people who they can try to force to promise them that they will get their votes. So, and I have to feel that way because out of all of the decades of you all continually doing the same things and black folks telling you not to, you still run out the gate and do the same thing. And that's really all I had to add. I said I wasn't going to be long with it, but goddamn it, I ain't.
All right. Appreciate that, Trouble. I see we got Original up here too, so I definitely want to hear what Original's got to say. Go ahead, DJ. You got it.
Hey, yeah, let Original rap. Go ahead. I'm coming up in a second.
You got it, Original. How you doing tonight?
Peace, black power, and linguistics. I'm doing great. How's everybody doing?
No, you sound a little muffled for a second, Original. Go ahead and speak again.
Okay, what about now?
Okay. Yeah, much better now.
Okay, I was missing. I was moving my head, moving my thing around. But okay, you mentioned Big Swole. Now, Mayor, we call in this spot, Mayor, we call Stacey Abrams Big Swole. 42, 42, 42. Now, see what Big Swole did. See what Big Swole did. See, yeah, I saw her over the weekend, and she was talking all this madness and this, that, and whatever. But technically, nobody really pays her any attention. People like me, because see, when she does stuff for black people, she'll split up stuff for black women and then stuff for black men. Because see, when she saw that black men were not coming out to vote for her in 2022, she decided to put up this agenda for the black men, agenda for black men or whatever, But yet, it never made it onto her platform on her webpage. See, her webpage was her official platform. So she threw that out there thinking that would get black men to vote for her. But if you don't put that on your official platform, we're not showing up. And see, she lost by a wider margin than she did in 2018 and 22. You see, because see, in 2018, she was screaming that Brian Kemp cheated. Oh, he did this, he did that. And when she lost by that wider margin, she had to shut up because, see, technically, she too did not concede to Brian Kemp in 2018. And she kept, filing all these lawsuits and this, that, and whatever. And so that's why she's trying to, she's basically trying to save Kamala. Or as Judge Joe Brown say, Karma Sutra Kamala, because she Karma Sutra her way into what she has today. And so, and see, but see, the issue is like when Karma Sutra Kamala was talking about hip hop, she did not mention black folks. She said hip hop was African and Latino, and I don't know what else she said. She said, and she mentioned somebody else, but she did not mention black Americans. And we lit into her on Twitter. And then Big Fat Boule Roland started trying to come out and defend her and stuff. But we were like, no. If she going to talk about hip hop and you're not going to mention black Americans, you're damn right we're going to come after you. And so, and you're right, Newstoter, white folks don't want to see her as president. See, these white people, and that's what I keep telling black folks. They keep thinking that these white folks, that they can trust some of these white folks. There are no white people in this universe that can be trusted. Now, we may have to interact with them because of how things are set up right now, but there aren't any of them that can be trusted. And so I think people need to understand that so that they don't fall for the okie doke. Just like what's going on in Chicago. They keep trying to give our people in Chicago uh, basically, a false construct that everything is okay when everything is not okay. And so I just want to say that because, see, people like Big Swole, they are never going to change. They got because how was it that, see, uh, when she ran for governor, especially in 2018, she invited the gay white community into her campaign headquarters and bragged to them about what she had done and what she would do if elected. But when it came time for her to come and sit down with black people, she claimed she had to go up north somewhere to get some money and did not show up. But the white girl showed up and wanted to hear what black folks had to say. I mean, hell, at least she showed up. And so it's stuff like that that these people do, and they don't want to promise black people anything because they've been told by the white Democrats, we only have a benign neglect needed for black people. We're not doing anything for them. And so you're right, they are worried because see they see that if they lose, pretty big tonight, they're in real trouble. And see, you got a lot of these people whereby they're going to be coming out voting for Donald Trump. But my position is, I'm not voting for either. If you're not trying to bring reparations to Black Americans, there's no reason for me to vote for you. Plain and simple. I mean, that's just it. And so I think, and the reason they always want to snap at us, and they want to tell us that we're immature. They think they can shame us into voting because remember now, this black boy, what's his name, Cornell Belcher. He said on MSNBC, I think it was during the 2022 election cycle. He said you're going to have to scare the hell out of black people to get them to the poll. But they saw that did not work well for them. People like me, well, I sat at home in 2022. I didn't come out and vote. Well, we had an election today for the school board. I didn't go and vote today. And so until people start showing these folks that we're not voting unless you do right by us, we have to force them to change. And so that's what's going on across the country. And that's why I don't understand why people in Chicago, why they haven't done a recall on this black boy that they got as mayor in Chicago. That just kind of boggles my mind that they haven't recalled this fool. So that's, and then, what I shared with you yesterday when I went to the Atlanta City Council, and you had all these different people from black businesses saying that when they try to, file the paperwork, request for a proposal to try to do business with the city of Atlanta, they get rejected. They change up the tactics in midstream. They're doing all kind of stuff to black folks in the city. And they call Atlanta a black Mecca. That is a lie. Atlanta is not a black Mecca. Those white folks, they still run things. But I talked to someone yesterday after I left, and they said one of their family members was working in procurement, where all the contracts and things come through. And their family member quit because of all the shenanigans that was going on. Because, see, remember, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro, said, if the Negro were to take over any type of governmental entity, they will uphold the same policy and procedure that the white folks had because that's all they know. And that's how stupid a lot of these so-called educated black people are. They are below stupid. And so I just want to say that so people have a better understanding. If you run into somebody and say, oh yeah, man, Atlanta got it going on. Because there was I saw this thing on Twitter and several people responded. What the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, which is a newspaper here, they had it was something with Andy Young talking about these mayors. It was Andy Young, Keisha Bottoms, Cassine Reed, the current mayor, Andre Dickens, and then somebody threw in Jermaine Dupree. So what I did, I took the information that I had archived on them. I put she said what she was going to do for the gay community, nothing for black folks. Kasim Reed defended defending the illegal aliens, but nothing for black folks. Andre Dickens said what he would do for the gay community and this that how he wanted to have Atlanta to be the gay capital of the USA and of the South, you know. And I put it out there, and a lot of people several people read it, and they replied to it. And that's what we have to start doing. It if they think they're gonna shame us, this is why it's important to to look at their platforms and take a screenshot or whatever you have to do, and make it look and put it out there and expose them for what they are doing. And so I know they're listening to, more than likely they are listening or will listen to this broadcast. It's going to get worse for them because we're just not going to show up. And so that's basically what I want to say. Oh, you mentioned that Elijah, what's his name? Elijah
McClain. McClain.
Yeah, Elijah McClain. Yeah, that right there, that's just beyond sad. I mean, that young brother was minding his own business, just trying to go home. Went to the store just trying to go home. But see, they feel like they could just stop us and claim. I think didn't they say that he looked like somebody they was looking for? I mean, they make up all these lies. And so that
now, real quick, I want to add this part in here too because they start him off young, but it was a young 17-year-old 911 caller who said that he looked sketchy, you know. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he looked sketchy, and so, but we call them. They just said, well, we'll see if we can get somebody over there in a little bit or whatever. I mean, this young man was just trying to go home and eat whatever he bought for himself or whatever, and just minding his own business. And that's why I wasn't sad. I didn't look at it the wrong way. There was a video that came out with his brother. He shot at this cop and ran, and the cop started running. He was scared as hell, and he ran after the cop, shooting at him while the cop was running away. And I just hope, I'm just gonna say this. I'm not trying to get the shit here, but I just leave it at that. But see, that's what's going to start happening with these people. They feel like they got the right to harass us, but when the script is flipped, they're going to start thinking differently. You know, but that's just sad when I saw his mother, and they just let these people go, because this is why I say, now those, do you know what the makeup of the jury was?
I'm not sure what the actual makeup of the jury was, and of course this was what the second trial here, so you know this one like it was was even the first one, so you know I'm not sure what the actual. Now we pretty much know what the makeup was because it was in Denver, so we pretty much know what that makeup was.
Yeah, I just wanted, but then too, you got some of them black folks that live in Denver. But I worked with one of them crazy fools, and this lady, she was bragging about that she was related to Robert E. Lee. I said, oh my goodness. And another brother came and said, he said, man, if you talk to this crazy fool, well, he didn't call her that, but he called her something else. It started with a B. And he says, I said, man, you don't even have to say it. I know what you're going to say. Yeah, she would brag about that. And I'm like, so I can imagine that's why they got off. But I think that things are going to start going differently, because I think black folks have had their fair share of it, and they're just not going to put up with it any longer. But I'm gonna land with that. I just want to throw some positive vibes out for Elijah McClain's family, because they shouldn't have to go through this. Those folks know that if they had just left him alone, and then you look at these white folks, so they can call the police on anybody. I mean, they can call the police on a black person and just use those buzzwords. He looked menacing. He looked like, I think he has a gun, and then they're coming in for the kill. You know, and I think see, Jim Crow Joe doesn't want to give us any kind of protection, and that's why my vote would not be used to give him any kind of protection. And I've been letting them know it. I've been responding to stuff, letting them know that we are no longer accepting your benign neglect to eat it. And I let them know if we have to suffer, so will others. But this has just gotten ridiculous because you got to, like I said, you got to on the local, state, and federal level, especially with these black elected officials. There are 60 of them in the House right now in D.C. And you're going to tell me that they cannot come together? Hell, I saw this old troglodyte, degenerate troglodyte Maxine Waters. She up there okaying the Spanish-speaking people to be included in the Freedmen Bank. She needs to be voted out of office. Because see, years ago when the CIA dumped cocaine in the black community, she came out there, but then she quit, saying that she had to go and save Bill Clinton. I'm like, see, they always pretend like they're gonna come and help us, but they'll find an excuse. Any excuse they find where they can get out of it, that's exactly what they do, and that's exactly what she did. And a lot of people just lost respect. And I don't know how she is still winning because she doesn't. She doesn't do anything for the black folks. Y'all saw when those black people that were homeless, they was telling her what they needed. She said, "Y'all just go." And they said, "We ain't got no home." See, they don't. But they would go. But she and all those other ones, they came together, both Democrat and Republican, and they passed the Asian hate crime bill. So this just don't make any sense. So my position is, well, hell, if you're not going to do anything for my demographic, then you don't get this vote. And I don't care. They can, yeah. Let me just land right there.
All right, appreciate that original. You was good. I agree with what pretty much everything you were saying as well too. Maxine Waters and that whole we of course y'all know we talked about the Freedman thing as well too. The way they were trying to foot on minorities into that actual talking point as well too. That some of these black people you just can't really you really can't take them too serious. And really, honestly, Maxine Waters is in her 80s. It's time to go ahead and hang them up. Let's be for real. Most people that we know, when they get in their 80s, they're retired. And we got a bunch of people that's in politics that basically want to die like Dianne Feinstein. They want to pretty much sit up there and pass away doing this right here. So term limits is something that really needs to actually be looked at. It really, really does. A lot of these people that's in their mid to late 70s, and I think if you're in your mid to late 70s, hell, I think maybe if you, I'm gonna be honest, I think really 70 on up, it's about time to go ahead and sit down and let some young blood come in there, some fresh blood with some fresh ideas, with some energy, with some life in them, come in there and actually try to do something. You've had your time, you've had your political career and everything else. You're well taken care of. You made money. I'm sure you'll have the best of insurance and everything else until you leave this world. Let somebody else come in here that has the actual drive and the actual foresight to actually do something. You served your time, you served your country, you've done whatever. Now it's time to move on to a new set, a new group of people, and let them go ahead and lead as well too. So, and it's time for Maxine Waters. It's time for Clyburn. It's time for a number of these black people in the Black Caucus to go ahead and sit down. And they're not the only ones. They're white counterparts as well too. I'll give Mitt Romney at least credit. He's at least going ahead and he's getting ready and sit on down. And there's a whole bunch of people in Congress that need to follow his lead as well too. Go ahead, make.
Newstoter.
Yeah.
See, Mitt Romney, I think he's only leaving because of the MAGA people, because he's done some stuff that they totally didn't agree with, and he spoke out against Dumb Donald. So I don't think.
Yeah, you're right. He's leaving. He's leaving because of that, but he's still at the age too that I think that he should be leaving anyways. I like I said, if you're 70 on up, I think it's time to go ahead and let some new people come up in there. Rarely do you see 85-year-old people still working, unless, and then the people that are 85 years old that's working, they're working because they have no other choice for the most part. Most of them are living, foot to mouth, and they have to go out there and they have to work or whatever. Most people aren't working like that. You have some people that, hey, they it keeps them staying young and vibrant and this and that or whatever. But these politicians that then made 6-7 figures in their lifetime, got retirements and everything else put away, got property. go play with your great grandkids and let somebody else take this job and do something with it. If you don't have any great grandkids or nieces or nephews, and then go to an orphanage or go to one of these animal shelters, find something to do with your time or whatever. But let younger people, more energetic people, go ahead and actually do something themselves. I see we have a new speaker up here, and I don't want to mispronounce your name. I'll go by Cut the Check. How do you pronounce your first name?
Lucifer.
Lucifer. Okay, Lucifer. Lucifer. Did you want to add anything?
I've been listening to New Black Media since at least 2016, and they have identified all of these anti-black melanated politicians since before then. So Jim Clyburn, I mean, all of them have been on a list publicly discussed on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. So I'm a little shocked that in the year 2023, we finally figured out that Maxine Waters is a white supremacist. That's a little baffling to me. Is anyone else shocked by that?
Well, who just figured that out though? I mean, I'm not gonna say people just figured it out. I mean, people figure out that Maxine's been out there for a while and she hasn't exactly had black people's best interests at heart. But I think a lot of people kind of realized that for a long time. But you go on.
I mean, when we were saying directly and bluntly that President Obama is anti-black since the whole telling the black children of Flint, Michigan to drink the poisoned water to their face on camera. I mean, at that point, that's when the black vote should have become disenfranchised with the American political system and started demanding reparations and justice going forward. So the fact that we're still having these conversations, Jackson, Mississippi is still drinking bottled water. I believe they said last week it was $105 billion with a B, Bravo, going to Nazi Ukraine and Nazi Israel, but they can't afford $2 billion to build the new water treatment facility in Jackson, Mississippi. So I don't understand what black people are voting for. And full disclosure, I'm a black migrant from the Caribbean, and we were brain drained to the USA.
Okay, go ahead.
Brain drained here, and as soon as we got out of the airport at JFK, I understood as a child that this is a Nazi country. Like, they left my mother and two black children on the side of the curb in the rain. All the white Arab taxi drivers drove past us, and only a black Jamaican pulled over and picked us up in the rain. So I understand white supremacy from a very young age. This is the belly of the fucking beast, like all the black people say around here.
Try not to hit the F word, my friend. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm still confused as to how other melanated people are confused about the fact our politicians, they're working for the enemy at this point. They're working for the enemy back in Flint, Michigan.
What makes you feel like we're confused?
Well, hold on, Trouble. Let him finish what he was saying. But go ahead, Lasofa.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't take a degree to figure out that black people who are not advocating for the financial improvement of black children, for the improvement of our education systems, that these people are racial traitors. It doesn't take a degree. So I'd like to land my plane on that. Like, what are we doing with our time?
Okay, Lasofa, and I know maybe this may be the first time you've been in one of these spaces, but we pretty much in here we talk about that Newstoter, curation platform, largest black-owned Black American curation platform. We definitely talk about these issues a few times a week, so we definitely understand exactly. We know about being in the belly of the beast, and we definitely you'll get no disagreement with anybody in this space right here. We're pretty much when it comes to being on code on that, we're pretty much all in unison about the actual treatment of black people in this country. And I don't disagree with what you're saying about it, because we've had several spaces on the Jackson, Mississippi water crisis and stuff like that as well too. So we've been talking about some of this stuff for over a year now. We've been talking about some of these issues. We try to cover certain topics that mainstream media is not even talking about, covering as well too. So we definitely feel exactly what you're saying. You know, you have to remember too, we're the descendants of actual chattel slavery in this country. So nobody knows about racism or white supremacy more than we actually do. But I definitely feel you. I definitely feel you on that. And then you sound like that. And you know, I don't know you like that personally. Of course, none of us know each other personally like that. But you seem like you're you know, you're a supporter of Black Americans, and you know, I support the diaspora as well too. As long as everybody's on code, I have no issue whatsoever with that as well too. So you know, definitely welcome to the space. We got a hand up, and we'll definitely, you know, you want to speak again, definitely go ahead and get your hand up. But trust me when I say this, nobody in this space that I know of, and you know, I don't know every single solitary person in this space, but most of the people in here, when it comes to Kamala Harris and when it comes to the Congressional Black Caucus and when it comes to a lot of these people that's in politics and stuff like that, we understand that a lot of these so-called Black politicians do not actually stand up for Black people. You know, they put party over race before anything else. So we definitely understand that issue. And that's one thing that a lot of our people, and if I, like I said in this space earlier, when we was talking about the actual numbers of the actual, in some of these battleground states that's going to be coming up, where they talk about at least 22% of the Black people are leaning towards voting for Trump. I say, well, you factor in the other Black people that's not even going to vote. The Democrats have a real issue on their hand, you know, and they have it not only with Black voters, they have it even with Hispanic voters, because they feel like, hey, y'all not doing enough for immigration, or you're doing too much for you got. Because one thing about the Hispanics, a part of them wants immigration here. The other part that got here and got their foot in the door, they want to make sure you close it, so they don't want competition from their own people coming from the country as well too. Now everybody talks about how people are afraid of competition, but a lot of the actual Hispanic Latino immigrants, once they get here, they like, hey, we made it. Let them find someplace else to get over here as well too. Or let them find another place to go to and immigrate as well too. So there, and then you got, like I said, you got the moderate whites that's afraid that, hey, maybe Joe Biden don't make it a whole term, and if Joe Biden don't make it, we already had one quote unquote Black president. Now we're gonna have quote unquote Black / Asian / whatever you want to call a president. And we don't want that. We think she's weak, and we don't think that she could actually do the job. So that's why you got Stacey Abrams coming in saying that, hey, you know, if you don't support her or this and that, or if you're talking ill about her, basically you're a racist. And that's a way of actually trying to get the actual the moderate white voters with the Democrat, those leaning on the line between being an independent, being a Democrat, being a Republican, to try to go ahead and get them straightened out by calling them out. And it's also a way of actually trying to get on Black people, saying, hey, you know what, y'all just as bad as those white folks over there sitting up here talking about her. She's doing the best she could do. And then once again, the blame will be put on Black men. You know, if something happens, if somehow the Democrats lose in 2024, they're not gonna down Black women. They're not gonna say Black. They may say Black people. Well, Black people didn't come out as a whole and vote the way they supposed to. But bet you're behind on it. Like always, they're gonna blame Black men. Well, you know, it was Black men. They ended up siding with Trump, and it was Black men stayed home, and it was some Black men, and it's always the Black. So the blame that they lose this election in 2024, I guarantee you, 100% of the blame is going to be on Black men. They'll talk about low voter turnouts, but we know most of the time in elections and presidential elections, unlike the midterms, you get a pretty good turnout. So the blame is going to be on Black men. They're not going to come out here and they're not going to blame Black women. They're going to say, well, you know, 90% of Black women still voted, but only 78% of Black men vote. So it'll be, the blame will be totally 100% on Black men, like it always is. I'm going to get back to you, LaSofa, but let me go ahead and get the Black majority state. Before I get the Black majority state, guys, make sure, if you have not, that you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's up in the Jumbotron on the left-hand side. If you're in the space and you have not subscribed, definitely go ahead and subscribe. If you're in the space and you're in this Twitter space and you have not followed Newstoter and the co-host, WPI, make sure you guys go ahead and follow us also on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff as well too. Also, you can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. That is $Newstoter, Newstoter. If you do not have Cash App, the Venmo and PayPal is up in the Jumbotron. For my people on YouTube, you can also support on Cash App. That is on the screen, and the Venmo and PayPal is up in the description. For my people on YouTube, make sure you guys also go ahead and subscribe. Make sure that you go ahead and share out tonight's program, leave a comment, click the notification bell as well too, because YouTube is not sending out the notifications. Now let me go ahead and get to you, Black Majority State. How you doing tonight?
Hello, Newstoter. How's everybody? TJ, everybody in space?
We good.
Good. Okay. So polls say Trump is getting black voters. Oh, go ahead, DJ. My bad.
Nah, what up? Let's go.
Okay. Yeah. What's up? Yeah, Trump is getting black voters. Duh. That's going to happen. I'll be voting for him. I didn't vote the last time, but I'll definitely be voting for him. Man, Elijah McCain, McClain. I grew up. One of my best friends, their last name was McClain. That's a tragic story, you know. God, yeah, we're living in hell as Black Americans here, and that's just an outward expression of it when they're exonerating police officers who, murder innocent people. I came up because, it is election night. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of election news. So Philadelphia, which is very close to Wilmington, Delaware. In fact, I've been told that Wilmington is a suburb of Philadelphia, and I can't disagree with that. I've always said it's a commuter state. So Cheryl Parker, a Black woman, is the first Black female mayor of the city of Philadelphia. So she won
wow!
that race.
So you got a Black female mayor of Philadelphia?
Yeah, first time ever.
Okay.
Yep.
She's a Democrat or Republican?
I got to assume she's a Democrat.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. It's an NBC story. Let me see if they even mention that in the header there. Yep. Says Democrat, the first female chief executive. Yep. So she is a Democrat. The coward Daniel Cameron, AG, Attorney General of Kentucky, who they said was kind of close in the polls, he ended up losing. He lost that bid for governor, so that actually is a blessing, for all those people who know who he is and the cowardice nature that guy represents. And then, of course, Mississippi, which is the race that I'm watching the most, the county with the largest population, the city, which is the #1 revenue-producing city in the state of Mississippi and has the highest population, is the only metropolitan area in the whole entire state, Jackson, Mississippi. How they've tried everything they can to disenfranchise the Black vote. So, of course, on election night, they would come up with a whole new strategy, and that is they ran out of ballots. They ran out of ballots on election night in the governor's race when it is a very, very, very close race. And so they had a judge issue an hour extension to allow people to actually vote and, I guess, magically get these ballots up. I'm calling before this thing is even over, man, because goodness gracious, that's what's going on in Mississippi. So I'll end with that.
All right, thank you, Black. LaSofa, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Wow. Like that sounds like a phony process going down. The whole thing. That gentleman, he never mentioned what was the political agenda that newly elected woman, what did she run on? Did she say reparations and the end of qualified immunity for white lynchmen? Is that her campaign?
I'll be very upfront. I haven't even heard of this woman, so I Philadelphia is not really my area of expertise. I'm assuming she's running on the Democrat platform, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's a safe assumption, but at this point, it's the KKK wearing their robes versus the KKK not wearing their robes. That's Republican versus Democrat. Like, am I right? Am I wrong? Like, are we seeing the same things here? Because I'm not hearing the part where black people are uplifted or empowered. I'm not hearing that part.
Well, Lasofa, hold on real quick, Lasofa. All Black Majority State he was just giving a rundown of the actual election results. He wasn't saying that he supported anybody, anything of that nature. He was just going ahead and actually giving results of these actual elections that's going on throughout the nation.
Yeah, and we got to be more specific of that. This isn't a game anymore. We're under genocide. Like, so we got to start being specific.
Yeah, and this brother Black Majority State. Yeah, and this brother Black Majority State. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but he knows all too well about that. He's one of the main ones leading a movement trying to create a Black majority state so Black people could have power at the city, county, state level as well, too, trying to create an actual majority Black state. So he's all about the empowerment of his people as well, too. So like I said, I don't know if you're really familiar with his work or not, but the brother wasn't sitting up here. He wasn't co-signing anything in terms of these actual election results. He was just going ahead, just giving everybody an actual news update.
Okay, but I'm just saying we're still stuck on elementary politics right now. We need to bump it up a notch. These people have to come with an agenda for our children's survival. We shouldn't be talking about them.
Well, that's what I'm saying, brother. You're missing the point right there. This brother, he's not about elementary politics. He holds a space every Saturday night, and he's discussing actual serious issues that concern, Black people in this country. And I mean, how many people? Let me ask you something. How many people that are sitting up here talking about trying to create an actual atmosphere where Black people have actual control in terms of local politics and state politics in the state, trying to become a majority in the state? He breaks down the actual data of Black people and what it would take to actually become majorities in these actual state. He's talking about a migration in a number of states as well, too, that would actually lead.
Oh, shit. Bro, that was debunked years ago. I've been listening to the Black Authority on YouTube. He talks about politics for the last 10 plus years. He's the one who put up the Breonna Taylor billboards that forced Oprah Winfrey to finally throw up her 20-something billboards to compete. So the politics has already been grassroots for years now. Tariq Nasheed, he went to Ferguson himself from LA. He was there before Roland Martin.
So what are you saying, brother, that no other people outside of the major people in the Black media are putting in work? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. At this point in the game, yeah, that is true.
So exactly, what are you doing, bro?
What tangibles did those other people of yours provide? Because we raised awareness of lynching.
I'm saying what tangibles are you providing exactly?
And who the hell is this we?
So I'm just conveying what has already been discovered about all these political activists and these organizations like Black Lives Matter from Ferguson.
Well, we're not talking about, nobody in here is a supporter of Black Lives Matter to my knowledge, bro. So that's what I'm saying exactly. You're talking about what this brother, like I said, this brother's using factual information here and this and that or whatever. So I don't know exactly. And I get that you're skeptical of a lot of the things that you hear politically and stuff like that, but at the same time, I don't really know you like that as well too.
Clearly, if I went back 3,000 years, but I mean, we should already know this shit from the last 10 years. Like, these are not wins. He told us a woman won the first position. Great, she's a Democrat. Okay. What did she promise her Black electorate community? No information. What? I thought this was advanced politics. What's her agenda? Yeah, we got trivia. We're not playing Jeopardy anymore. This is genocide. We're playing survival of our children. What is she going to bring to the Black community?
Okay, Lasofa, you know what? I'm going to because Black Majority State, he's got his hand up, so I'm going to let him respond to what you're saying.
Okay, yeah, let me set the truck up. So I appreciate it, Newstoter. So, hello?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I was watching some of the elections in my hometown because it's election day and a lot of this stuff is coming across my timeline. And what I realized is something that I've always realized is the fact that when you are a minority population, as we are in the city that I live in, and as most Black Americans are in the cities that they live in, especially the major metropolitan areas, you have to form coalitions. And so there's two elder Black gentlemen, one who had a really good campaign video. He's lived in every neighborhood I've lived in, my family's lived in. He understands the community really, really well. But the problem is when it's time to run for an election, you need support. And you're not going to get a whole lot of support from an impoverished community. So what ends up happening is, and this is true for not only this guy who was running for county council, there's a guy who ran for city council. He actually won. The person who was supporting them is a U.S. rep, one of the first Black U.S. female reps from this area. So you have these Black candidates who are winning elections, and their coalition are these PACs, and these PACs are feminist PACs, LGBTQ PACs, small hat PACs. They're all the different groups that are attempting to marginalize and bring harm on the Black community. But that's the only path forward for a lot of these Black officials to get elected, especially under the Democratic.
My bad, Black. I didn't mean to hit the mute button. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. That's fine. So whatever's happened in Philadelphia is irrelevant. It's irrelevant to me and everything that I'm advocating for. The larger platforms who in the past have said negative things about a migration are slowly but surely being walked into the reality of the situation. Me and this gentleman could have an actual conversation, and I could explain to him how they are wrong. I don't have anything against them. I don't listen to them. I'm not a follower of those people, but they are wrong. And it's not even questionable. There's not an argument to make, because the only argument is you're either going to be a permanent marginalized minority with a wave of tens of millions of illegal immigrants coming into the country, legal and illegal, and your population can't grow fast enough to keep up with this overwhelming wave of immigrant population coming into the country. So you don't have another option. You can either stay marginalized and be decimated, gentrified, Hispanified, and every other plan that they have for you, while they're planning to chop up the body parts of your children, or you can move politically to gain power and authority to protect, prosper, and empower your population. Or the only other real option is to leave the country, but then you're subject to all of the power of the United States as they wield it on foreign entities. This is really not an argument. I'm not going to go back and forth. I heard what he said. The fact to say that it was debunked 10 years ago, well, I wrote my book 5 years ago. I don't know what they were saying 10 years ago because I didn't know they existed, to be quite honest. They don't enter into my realm of thinking or calculation at all. But at some point, they're going to have to get on board. Everybody's going to have to get on board. And the solution or the answer is going to be, well, you know what? I'm just going to fight on my own independently, and I think I'll make it, or I'm going to actually get on board. But there is coming a time when those are going to be the really only two real choices. And by the way, in Rhode Island, which is the smallest state in the country, an African just recently won his election in that state, a congressional district seat. So now we have an African in the U.S. Congress and is able to advocate and extend all of this African diaspora initiatives that the Biden White House loves to pour money into while we get nothing. So I'll end on that.
All right.
Okay, well, we're definitely going to have to go back 3,000 years now. So I posted on the Jumbotron a Roman historical document about a Jim Crow era time period in ancient Greece and how it was upended by a Bantu liberation movement. So this culture is called Sparta. You've seen the movie. Everyone's seen the movie. Everyone understands those white people, they're not white. These are black Central Africans, 1000 BC genome markers from Mega Lake Chad. So if we want to talk about overthrown white supremacy, we got to start going back into African history in Europe to analyze these Hellenic people, these white Greeks, and understand they have Jim Crow 850 BC, and black people overturned Jim Crow and enslaved the white population as reparations for the Jim Crow. That's what these historical documents are revealing now. So would you like to understand?
Let me do a quick follow-up. So immigration is a weapon of war. Massive immigration has one real purpose, and it is to genetically alter the composition of the population that currently exists. There's a word for it. They practice it in Latin America. They did it 100 years ago in this country in order to push Black Americans to the bottom caste. And they are doing it this time, but this time it's everybody from around the planet Earth, and they don't care what happens because they're going to remain a minority in power because they have all the wealth, they control everything, they control the banks, they control all the vital infrastructure and all the systems. And as a permanent minority, a fourth-class citizen, you cannot win in that paradigm. There is no winning there. They're going to pick the few tokens that they always do, and that'll become extremely evident and obvious that they're doing that specifically the same way they're doing it in hip-hop now and in entertainment. But ultimately, the masses, the collective, will suffer greatly. They will not be able to survive 50 years of this massive wave of immigration. So I'm just done. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Wait. Hold on, LaSofa. You got to wait because we got some other hands up. So let me go ahead and get the Trouble. Trouble, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay. So a new Jack walks into a Black American space and attempts to school us on the Black media and what needs to be done to white supremacy, as if we haven't been here, done that, ran through that, and doing everything that we can. Then New Jack says that we should go back to some old, ancient, 3,000-year-old Bantu tactic that apparently, looking at Africa today, didn't work or isn't working right now. So, said New Jack, trying to figure out who is this we that we keep talking about, number one. Number two, how is it that you come up in this space and you're telling us about all of these new Black media that you've listened to, as if the people in this space haven't listened to the same new Black media, probably knowing them before you got clued onto them, but now that you're clued onto them, you had this major revelation and my Black people, this is what you need to do. And what are you telling your people to do to get out of the state that Africa is in? Because you coming over here to tell us what we need to do for white supremacy when they eating that ass up over there. So it's not appreciative in the least. Don't come up in here with all that extra arrogance like you're schooling somebody. You're not schooling us. You're not schooling us. You're not fooling us. It's a little bit, kind of distasteful. Kind of tastes like paste, a little bit pasty. I don't recognize that taste. But pull that all the way back. Pull it black if you want to. You can pull it black and you can pull it back. Okay? Come up in this space and have some respect for the people who are up in this space, because if you had the answers, because you're acting like nobody in here has the answers, like, oh, what are you guys even discussing just about? I mean, is this what we're doing? This is what we're doing. You don't have to be in here doing it with us. You could be somewhere else doing something completely different. Okay? So that's really all I came to say. I don't appreciate your candor. I do not appreciate, your nastiness. Take that arrogance somewhere else because you're not telling us nothing. We done did this before. Like my daddy always say, I did this before. You ain't telling me nothing new. Okay? Tell me something new. Tell me something new. Tell me something new. You're not telling me anything new. You're not telling us anything new. Okay? And if what you're saying actually worked, it would be working across the board. But it's not working across the board. We know who the Black Authority is. We know who Tariq Nasheed is. Do you know who Newstoter is? Do you know who Black Majority State is? Brother, do you know who Miss No Taxation is? Do you know? No. Obviously you don't know. But I assume you're gonna find out.
Hey DJ, I think DJ, your mic. Oh, okay, I'm like.
Okay, so in rebuttal, I'm going to be very blunt. The black race globally has less than 30 years remaining. That's all we need to discuss going forward.
That's all you would like to discuss, but in this space, we are discussing Black Americans. So we want to discuss global blacks. Discuss global blacks because right now, Black Americans is concerned with Black Americans. We got Black global black stage and conversation before.
Okay, I'm using that estimate of time based on economic model.
Hey, hold on 1 second. Hey DJ, mute your mic for a second. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So by 2053, all black assets will $0.
You're in the wrong space for that. We're not discussing global blacks.
I'm talking about USA. I'm talking USA right now. 2053.
Well, we're not discussing global blacks within
What happened to 1 month? Why can't she listen to the economic reality that's coming? What's going on?
Do you know comprehende? Am I speaking español? Am I not speaking English? No hablo español.
2053, United States black.
Let him finish real quick, Trouble. Let him finish real quick.
Foundational Black American families by 2053 will have $0 in asset wealth. That was published last year? That is the projection of the future reality of Black Americans. That's
What's
the end.
Projection for your people.
The projection is already before that because Black Americans of the United States are the wealthiest blacks on earth. So
not Black Americans.
2053, the rest of the blacks, the rest of the black world will already be so poor they cannot afford ammunition for the upcoming 2 planned race wars. 2.
Well, I think you would be the perfect person to go and divide the plan for the rest of the black world.
So by 2030,
you can throw a space for the rest of the black world.
Trouble. Let him finish real quick, and then I'm gonna let you go. But go ahead, LaSofa.
So there have been 3 global genocide plots in the last 200 years. 3. 2 of them are upcoming. 1820s, a global plan to eliminate all Negroid races has already been documented by the eugenicist societies and our black brother on YouTube, straight up. He posted a documentary called How Eugenics Erased Black History. 1820s to 1950s, that was one attempted global euthanization of all black populations everywhere. And they succeeded in Asia. 100 million Asians are gone because they were blacks. So we are no longer in conjecture at this point. We're talking about real events, real statistics, real genocides. And now, because of the failure of the 1950s planning that they had due to Jesse Owens, thank you FBA cousin, Jesse Owens and his whole Olympic team undermining the myth of white supremacy at the 1936 Berlin Olympic Games, that's the only reason we're all fucking breathing air right now.
I told you don't drop any F-bombs.
Very clear about this. So 2030, that's another planned global genocide. That's when the young whites come in. They're gonna try their move.
So let me get this right. So you're saying that Jesse Owens, a man that was in the 1930 Olympics, he's the reason that black people are on the verge of being exterminated, is what you're saying? And you said thank you, FBA cousin.
Negative. I said because of his performance, he's the reason we were not euthanized by the 1950s. He undermined white supremacy as a concept on the public stage. That's the only fucking reason anybody anywhere black.
Hey, don't curse in here again, bro. Don't drop another F-bomb. I just told you that.
I mean, what good is the F-bomb if it won't save us? These people have been.
Hey, now you are very condescending. Now I'm asking you nicely not to go ahead like everybody else on the stage. I tell them that. Now you're sitting up there telling me exactly how we're gonna run this space. I mean,
Usher him out. Take his microphone. Send him to the shadow realm.
I'm gonna let
All right, so since we up here talking all this mess, nah, with your mic, nobody want to hear what you got to say right now. So you're gonna answer a series of questions, right? First of all, where are you from, bro? Since you said you're not Black American, well, where do your family descend from? And also, we want to know where you stay at right now.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines is where we're born.
And where you currently live at right now?
The United States.
Okay, you need to back up all the other stuff that you said, so everyone disregard what he just said. Because since Black people are the most richest, smartest people in the world, I think you ought to have a little bit more decorum and respect, not to actually bring up politics that we already know. So how is it that you, trouble right, all smart and all hunky-dory, Steve Urkel? You know what I'm saying? Because you watch Jason Black. I started watching Jason Black 10 years ago because I don't want to hear none of that stuff. I stopped listening to Tupac in the 90s. I don't want to hear none of that stuff, bro. You know what I'm saying? Stop playing with us, bro. We don't want to hear your rhetoric. If you want to be an ally, beat that. Otherwise, don't come off your mic. Take his microphone. Usher him out. We don't want to hear none of that because we up here building on solutions.
I listen. Hold on. I listen to Jason Black. I listen to Reek. I listen to Professor Black Truth as well. But, we have to find everybody has their own way of doing things. Shout out to those brothers for doing it their way. But then other people have their way. Black Majority State has his way. I have my way. DJ has his way. No Taxation has her way. So, one way doesn't work for everybody. Everybody has their own way of doing things. And, we give those brothers a shout out and we commend them for what they're doing. But at the same time, everybody has a way of doing things as well, too. I would say that we're pretty much on code, in here. But like I say, brother, I don't mind you speaking. I do mind you dropping F-bombs. And if I tell you not to drop an F-bomb, and not like I say, now you kind of showing you behind up in here as well, too, because I've been pretty fair with you, even though you've been condescending as hell, in terms about Black people this and Black people that, I figured one of these sisters was going to say something, but, Black Majority State kept his cool. I've been keeping my cool. I'm just letting you talk or whatever. But now you're going to sit up here and you're going to school us on world history, Black history, and all this other kind of stuff as well, too. And like I said, and like DJ said, everybody, what about, what are the people in your country doing? The battle white supremacy. What is the rest of the Black diaspora doing to battle white supremacy? So the entire onus falls on Black Americans again. And you're sitting up here talking about, well, we in 30 years, we're going to be finished as a race and this and that or whatever. Okay, if that's what you want to say. But like I say, we sitting up here, we're trying to be fair and let people talk or whatever. But now you kind of coming in here and you got this attitude, this attitude that you're so superior that you know so much more. Like Trevor said, people have been listening to Jason Black and them for years, So you're gonna sit up here and you're gonna school us on all of this right here. Been listening to Dr. Claude Anderson for years. Been listening to Elijah Muhammad when he was alive for years. Farrakhan for years. Malcolm X for years. Bobby Hammett for years. Steve Coakley for years. Dr. John Henry Clark for years. But you're gonna sit up here and you're gonna come here and you're gonna teach us like we 6 or 7 years of age. Come on, man. I'm gonna unmute the mic because I want to hear what you got to say. And everybody, let them talk. Don't come off your mic. I want to hear what this brother's got to say.
I got next.
Go ahead and unmute your mic, LaSofa.
Okay, I got double muted somehow. But, what have you applied from what our scholars have said for all these years? Because they warned us about this entire situation that I'm describing right now.
What have you applied? What have you done? What have you done to warn the masses? What have you done to prepare people?
I've posted the 8 steps to defeating white supremacy from 3,000 years ago, and they're the same steps.
Man, spare us with that 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago, you had Egypt getting flooded by a bunch of people from the outside and stuff like that. What are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about? Africa, how many times has Africa been colonized by the Muslims and Europeans and everybody else? What are you talking about?
It's literally the jumbotron.
What are you talking about, dude?
I'm talking about
how long ago that you had the 25th dynasty? I mean, please, what are you talking about? When did was Kemet not conquered by outsiders?
I'm talking about the black militant supremacist culture that white supremacists have plagiarized to dominate us across the globe right now. It's already written down 3,000 years ago.
So you're babbling. You're babbling is what you're doing. You're babbling. You're babbling.
Can you click on the jumbotron?
I don't need to click on the jumbotron, dude. You're babbling here. You're babbling. Because Africa got over 1 billion people on Africa, black people in that continent. And it has the most resources in the world, yet it has to depend on foreign aid from other countries. It's got all kind of military bases on there. So why don't you take that and go ahead so those 1 billion people can go ahead and they can use it? What are you talking about? You got all these Caribbean nations right over here on this side of the world, in the Western Hemisphere, that could be trading and everything else with each other. What you're saying makes no sense. You're talking about 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago, over there in Kemet, they started getting overran by the Greeks and everybody else. What are you talking about? They done changed the entire landscape of that place. Well, you got white people up here talking about, we got white people and Arabs up here talking about y'all ain't even part of this country and stuff like that, this bloodline.
Okay, so for historical background here, all you need to know is for the last 10 years, I have read every primary source documentation on Greek, Roman, and Sumerian history, and all of them said culture and civilization came from Africa. So it was never confusing. It was never not understood. It was never lost to history that black Bantu superculture is the reason Homo sapien thrived. So what we're dealing with is 5,000 years of white supremacy that has expanded from 4,000 BC Kazakhstan all the way across the earth and has been systematically massacring and culling all the black populations of Eurasia, Europe, ancient China, Siberia, Russia, Poland, Scandinavia, every single place that these OCA defectives have migrated to has a mass gravesite, a destruction of culture, a loss of a previous Bantu linguistic group, an African out of Africa haplogrouping disappears, especially on the male side. The Y DNA side disappears from the genome mappings of ancient populations as soon as the white OCAs arrive. So we're talking 5,000 years of white supremacist exterminations of all Negroid pre-humans and humans. So at this point, the forensics is very clear what we're talking about in the year 2023. We're up next. The black race is going to be finished.
And what are you doing to stop this? Like you asked everybody up in this space, since you have all this history and you have all of this evidence to trace back to that. What are you doing, LaSofa, to go ahead and, since you already know, the actual history, well, you should already be stopping it right now. You should already be putting it to an end right now.
I spent the last 8 months, all my weekends for the last 8 months, Twitter, Fanbase, and Clubhouse, leaving recordings of how these ancient Bantu warriors disassemble white supremacy as a political process, as a religious, superstitious mentality, as everything. They dissected this machinery that has been gobbling us up, civilization after civilization, and they wrote it down and passed it down to their black children 3,000 years ago and said, hey, anyone who fights on these white people's behalf is a race traitor. I exterminate them out, exile them in front of other black children.
So ask me this, LaSofa, why are you in this country controlled by white folks? Why don't you go to a country that's controlled by black folks where you can actually implement everything that you're saying?
Because none of those countries have existed for the last 500 years.
And this country didn't exist for the last 500. This country's not 500 years old either.
And that's what I'm saying. You can't go any part of the globe and find a black nation run by black people.
Hold on, pause. See, he actually said something that was really smart right there. Because none of those other countries existed like the way our infrastructure has been built up in the last 500 years. So with all that being said, what makes you think again, like Trump was saying, you could come up there and kick knowledge? With you Nas, bro, stop, bro. You know what I'm saying? We already know we the smartest bodies out of all the diaspora, at least bare minimum. So we don't need your information for that. And just because you read a bunch of books don't make you an expert, bro. Let's be logical about that, man. You know what I'm saying? You read a bunch of books, you look to do. You know some things. You don't know everything, and you don't know how we're moving. You're new here, like Trump said. You just got here. So everyone that be in this space right now, just about the faces you see, we up here not every day with each other, or we talking in the background on the phone with each other on how to come up with a solution and a plan to save our people. Our people meaning Negro freedmen, aka ADOS, FBA, whatever you want to say, gang. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? Come on, son. You know what I mean? So what you really want to talk about, bro?
Well, hold on. I don't have a problem. Let me mute it real quick. I don't have a problem with any black person that's going to come over here and speak as an ally. You know, speak as an ally. When you're giving these type of orders out and you're saying, well, we need to do this. I mean, if you're a leader, why don't you go ahead and do it? You're sitting up here saying, well, these countries didn't exist 500. Well, this country didn't exist 500 years ago. 500 years ago, there was no United States of America. So if there was no United States of America, then that means there were no these other countries that you come from either. But you can still go there and you can still put all this stuff into actual play. You're not doing that. You're sitting there, you're telling us what we need to do. We need to do this. We need to do that. Well, hey, you take the forget the tiny bit of black people that's in America, the African diaspora, black diaspora, whatever you want to call it, has over 1 billion people globally, dude. Over 1 billion people globally. People forget that you got in South America, you got Brazil and all those people. You got the Caribbean. You got black people in Africa, Asia. You got black people in Europe. Hell, you got black people in Australia. Why is it that you're sitting here giving us all of this good information to put into place, but you're not willing to use it yourself? And not only that, I'm gonna be honest right here, my boy. You came in here and you just totally start babbling. You know, my man came in here. We was talking politics for one. We talking about the Trump and we talking about the black voters and stuff like that. He mentioned the actual election update. And you start, and I had to really bite my tongue because you started going in and all this and that or whatever, talking about this or that. Yo, he didn't say that. He didn't say I voted for this person, I voted for that person, I support this person, I support that. And I made that plainly clear as well, too. I didn't hear you say anything about the brother Elijah McClain. You know, that's also one of the topics of the night. So you're sitting up here, you're talking about Bantu. You're talking about 3,000 years ago. You're talking about in ancient Rome and all this other stuff. You're talking about stuff 5,000 years ago that nobody on the face of the earth was even not one country. And China is the longest reigning country. China wasn't even around when you're talking about. And you're sitting up here and you're talking about what we need to do and how we need to go about doing this and doing that. Yet, like I said, you got billions of black people in this world. And yet it's the black people in America that has to go ahead and do it. What about all the black people in Africa, the Caribbean, South America? I don't hear you saying nothing about that. And as soon as I say, well, why don't you go to these places? It's an excuse. Like I said, you ain't say nothing about, we talking about, well, if you don't vote for this, you don't vote for that or whatever. You came in here with this thing about the Black Authority and Tariq and them and this and that. And everybody in here rocks with them. Everybody in here supports them and this and that or whatever. But what did that have to do with the actual conversation? Are you saying that the only people that make sense, that the only people that can talk about issues, nobody else in Black America can talk about any other issue unless you're them? That makes no sense because even they learned from somebody. Even they had to go ahead and they got their talking points from somebody else too. They didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, you know what? This is how I think. No, they listen to somebody and they say, you know what? They start forming their own ideas and opinions from what they heard from other people as well too. So to come in here, man, with this attitude and whatnot, it just really tripped me out because, like I say, we was talking about something in here. I allowed you to come up here. I thought you was going to add to the conversation. Instead, you want to go ahead and try to attack somebody because you didn't talk about. How the hell he's supposed to know about this woman's agenda when he just saw a damn highlight that said that she won? How is he supposed to know? He knows nothing about this woman in terms of her political views, her platform, nothing like that. He saw a damn headline, like you say, the ticker on CNN at the bottom of the screen said, so-and-so just won and became the first Black female president of Philadelphia. And that's all he said. He didn't say I voted for her, I support her, I agree with her politics or this and that or whatever. I donated to her campaign. Nothing. He didn't say any of that. You kind of just formed that on your own. And you're sitting there talking about 5,000 damn years ago. 5,000 years ago. You talk about before Christ was born. Like, what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? Moses wouldn't even walk in the damn earth. Abraham wasn't. What are you talking about?
Okay, well, I'm talking about ancient Black history that was systematically removed in the last 200 years.
So since you just told on yourself and you said it's only about the last 500 to 600 years, that's all we were really referring to. Why you go doubling back? Don't double back. Just worry about the last 500. Just focus on us, right? That's what we're trying to explain to you.
I can't focus on the last 500 because 3,000 years ago they already described our situation and they handled it for 600
Martin
years.
Luther King said we're a special type of people. So we only existed in the last 500 years as far as Black Americans are concerned. 600 years, whatever, even if there were people here before slavery and all that other stuff, because we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. So let's get it straight.
Exactly.
We don't need education.
Yeah, I'm Caribbean. We know where our genome mapping comes from. We're Black people from Asia 14,000 years ago.
Right. So why haven't you done any of this economics, any of this Black State of America stuff? Why haven't you contributed that to your actual ethnic background where you're from in the Caribbean?
I did. It's all over my Twitter profile. That's all I've talked about for years.
Yeah, you're new here again. No one knows you. You need more people, bro. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, but we're not new here. None of us are new here. The FBA people are not new here. They've been here for tens of thousands.
Specifically new here. You can't even differentiate between what it is I just said, but you're so smart.
Okay, well, we're siblings and we've been here for tens of thousands of years before Columbus washed ashore. So we got to have that conversation another day. No one wants to talk about Black people being indigenous, but that's what the DNA and the skulls are showing. You're all indigenous. You're not from Africa. We're like third wave Africans at this point. It's not even second wave, third wave. That's how much. There's 6 known migrations to the New World before Columbus. Do you know that? That's brand new data. Last 5 years, 6. All of them are Black. What are we talking about? We're still. I mean, we're wasting a ton of time, and these white people have all this data, and they know we're going to make a claim for indigenous status because the DNA backs us. So they're making sure to sharpen their knives and get their bullets ready. But, hey, we ain't paying these niggas nothing. We don't care if they got the DNA. We don't care if they got the skulls, the hair samples, the body lice, the baboons, whatever the fuck they got to prove that they own.
I keep telling you, dude, if you say that drop the F-bomb one more time, I'm just going to drop you from the speaker.
They don't care about facts. They don't care about forensics. They don't care about anything other than physical threat of military violence. That's what you need to learn from 3,000 years ago. That's what General Soas told the Black people when he enslaved white people. We gave them the chance to pay tribute. They didn't pay it. They don't want to pay reparations to the Black Pulaskians. They're never going to pay reparations to Black people. That's how that's
so your point of coming in here is to tell us that Black people in this country will never get reparations, is what you're saying.
No, you can get reparations as soon as you arm to the teeth and are fully prepared for race war. As soon as you commit to that, you're going to get the reparations. That's when the white people are going to back down. That's the ingredient from 3,000 years. Nonsense they're not talking about.
Yeah, go ahead, Xander X. Go ahead, because you've been waiting for a minute. Go ahead and say something.
This is the very reason why Black people in Africa don't need to even stick. Let's go. Don't even need to be sticking their nose in this damn business. We're the ones that upset the belly of the beast worse than anybody who's ever existed. Now, for somebody to come in here and talk to a group of people who faced the worst and survived the worst Holocaust known to man, period, is very disrespectful. It's a damn insult. Now, just like WPI done said, DJ, just like Newstoter, there are Black people to this right now that if they miss either one of these spaces, they record, they go back and listen to it when they're at work. That's what happens when Black Americans start getting on code. Now, it's funny to me that you don't have you'd be silly enough to think that Black Americans don't have the education to know how these white supremacist government is going to deny us all of these goods that we're owed. We already know that we're the
really we're indigenous. We already know that. We've done proven it already. But we're fighting now. We're getting together on code with one another. Black Americans, descendants of U.S. slavery, because nobody can relate to us better than us. We got 10,000 different ethnic groups in Africa, Asia, South America, but notice how none of them can upset the belly of the beast like the 13 to 14% here in the United States of America. Anytime we move, we set the culture for the entire nation, the entire world. Now, notice how you haven't gone to your homeland. You won't go there to rock with them. You won't go there to attempt to get them to help you fight. No wars. No, nothing against white supremacy, period. You got us, people that get together on code on MySpace, on a Twitter space, and we're starting to upset the election process. You're hearing these white folks crying left and right. Well, how come this group ain't winning? Because, damn it, y'all been listening to the wrong people. Whenever somebody comes into a Black American space, just come in here and get educated. Get in here and come in here and get your damn marching orders. See, we're watching immigrants like yourself come into our neighborhoods, get these handouts, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month. And then the people who built it, who basically built the earth, we basically built it. We're homeless. A lot of us are breaking our necks fighting for groups of people that could give a damn less about us. You're probably one of those people that want to cape for Palestinians. Well, here's the problem. Every Palestinian that came here, they're enjoying living off the blood of Black Americans. Don't none of them come here and see what they can do to help compensate us and lift us up. So, just like the room has done told you before, go to your people. Go to these other immigrants like your damn self. Tell them, look, when you hear Black Americans speaking on some issue, come to this country and help us get our reparations first. Now, we already know that they're going to come up with all types of roadblocks to try to stop us from getting it. This ain't nothing new to us. All we're going to do is basically say, okay, well, you know what? Anybody else that comes in here speaking against, when you come in a space like this and you want to be condescending, you want to be skeptical, that means you're with the enemies. When you come in here, just peep game, listen to what we're saying, and go out and execute the marching orders you get from a space like this. Now I'm mute.
All right. Appreciate that, Xander X. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Wait. Because wait. We got another hand up, dude. We're gonna get the Black majority state, and then we'll come back to you. So, Black, go ahead, unmute your mic. Before I get to Black, also, guys, definitely for those that can support on Cash App, $Newstoter, Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter, Newstoter. The PayPal and Venmo is up in the Jumbotron. Same for my people on YouTube. $Newstoter. Of course, you guys see that on the actual screen. And the PayPal and Venmo is up in the description. Black, go ahead and unmute your mic. Matter of fact, I think we had one person to donate tonight, so I'm trying to get at least 2-3 people to donate $1 to the actual platform. So we can get 2-3 people in the space to donate $1, just $1 to the platform. We'll definitely appreciate it. But go ahead, Black, you got it.
Okay, I just saw a post from the Jim Crow Biden himself saying the Democrats cleaned house on this election night. And abortion was on the ballot in a lot of states, so that actually kind of pushed them over the top, it seems. So that's depressing, but because the young Caribbean guy in the space. So the thing that I've often said in exchanges through posts. It's good to have a lot of information, but true intelligence comes from the application of the information. Simply having the information really doesn't really prove to me that you are an intelligent, to you personally, just in general. That's a general blanket statement. So you talked about what this particular group did 3,000 years ago to eradicate the white Roman Empire or whatever it was. And someone else earlier said that, the effective results of that is that the new Roman Empire, which is America, everybody agrees with that, is the most powerful, most wealthiest, most destructive nation on the planet Earth, quite literally. And the empire, in my opinion, shows no signs of slowing down. So whenever I'm in a conversation with people who are like, we got to destroy white supremacy, the answer that I give is really the only real logical answer. As long as these people exist in some way, shape, or form, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about whites, Hispanics, or Asians, and for that matter, we could probably extend it to some of these African diasporan populations, that they will always seek to place themselves above others. And so you can't eradicate something that is not only genetic, there's multiple psychological tests and studies that prove this. But you said in your answer, and your solution was that they were slaughtering people, essentially. They were holding people accountable. How do you apply what they were doing back then, whatever, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, to modern times? How do you apply slaughtering people to modern times in order to totally eradicate the planet Earth from just one group of supremacists, which in every conflict, when you eliminate one of the power players, it creates a vacuum, right? So you create this vacuum, and then another community, another equally powerful group swoops in to take the spoils of whatever that one particular group wasn't able to maintain and hold power over. So please explain to me how you apply that to today's world and to our condition, wherever it does. I mean, we talk about Black America in here. If you're coming from a small island in the Caribbean, I know your resources are very, very limited, and the United States can simply park a small naval ship outside of your island and eliminate your ability to practice commerce. I'd like to hear more on how you solve this problem.
About that whole power vacuum thing, there is no power vacuum for them because they are one genetic albinoid race. Like that 4000 BC Kazakhstan genealogy that they did on themselves. Their super ancestor is from one tiny mountain range called the Altai mountain range in Kazakhstan. They don't even represent the other 90% of the population of ancient Kazakhstan 4000 BC. They don't. So this is one family of pale people everywhere now today. But 6,000 years ago, they were not on anyone's radar, and they did not build any civilizations. They destroyed that Altai mountain range lakelands that they had, perfect for albino skin, and then they came down into the lowlands of Kazakhstan. And according to the satellite mapping, 80% of the stone hinges across that country were systematically buried, 3000 BC. So they killed all the blacks, hid all their culture, claimed Kazakhstan as their white homeland, and then they moved over to India, where they previously came from as albinos, and integrated into that culture in 1800 BC. And that's where you see your white Indian pantheon, you see your biracial Indian gods, and you see the indigenous black gods, the Black Aryans. That's white history, that's white culture. 300 years later, they killed the Black Aryans.
Hold on a second, bro. I got to give you some pushback on our albino situation. Albino is the only white person on this planet, but they come from Africa still. So for you to even say that an Indian is an albino, that's what you said? Albinos come from Africa?
No, that is not what I said. I said they left India as an albino migration into Kazakhstan, 5000 BC. That's what the genome map says.
Right there again. So an albino is an African. So if you're saying white folks came from the Caucasus Mountain and took over Pakistan, then how can they be albinos when they're white?
I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Albinism is the secret ingredient that makes them the white race.
Bro, that's not all talk. You're right. I don't understand what you're saying because when you bring up the people, the albino people, they're the only real white people on the planet, but they're African. How do they come from Canada?
I'm getting confused now because every single group including albino children, that's what we're talking about here. A group of albino children from black parents in India, 5000 BC, Somali Ethiopian parents in India, 5000 BC. They left the scorching hot heat of India for Kazakhstan. Yes, those are albino children. That means they're defective for the melanin gene, OCA gene defect number 1 or 2. They went over to Kazakhstan to hide out from the direct sunlight of the scorching hot tropical India. They were allowed to leave in great number. So they settled down in Kazakhstan, all-time mountain range, where it's nice and foggy. That's their natural sunscreen. And then they inbred for about another 1,000 years until that OCA defect stabilized.
I don't want to make no damn sense.
Okay, all right. I've heard enough of this babbling here. First off, like I say, the space was a political space and it was a news space. You know, it was talking about the polls, it was talking about Trump, it was and Biden and black voters' role in shaping the 2024 election. We was talking about the death of Elijah McClain, and now we're sitting up here talking about DNA, what group is mixed from albinos 5,000 years ago, how the world looked, all of this stuff that at the end of the day is not feeding black people in this country, is not housing them, not clothing them, not protecting them, not giving them any rights, not doing anything whatsoever. To me, this is a deflection. You know, this has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. The total space done went, and I just allowed this stuff to go. Like I say, Black Majority State was talking about some news, political, current events, talking about elections and stuff because today is an election day, and the biggest actual topic in this actual room tonight is about an upcoming election, the 2024 presidential election, and somehow we done went and we're talking about the end of the black race, and we're talking about albinos, and we're talking about gypsies and people using pixie dust and all kind of other dumb stuff. Okay, stuff that doesn't even matter. 5,000 years ago, we can't change or do anything about what happened 5,000 years ago whatsoever. You know, so I don't know how we got on this topic. I don't know how it got to that point. To me, it's pointless. You know, it's babbling. It's become the babble hour right now. You know, this is really just, you know, this is just mumbo jumbo. To be honest, here, it's complete mumbo jumbo. It makes no sense. And guess what? Nobody cares about 5,000 years ago because not one person on earth was alive 5,000 years ago. There was no North America. There was no South America. There was no none of this right here that we're talking about. All of these countries and all of these kingdoms and everything else weren't even in existence back then. How does this impact black people today in America? How is this going to help black people? So I don't care about, and I respect the ancient African kingdoms and civilizations and all this other stuff as well too. But this has no impact on black people in this country. Hell, it has no impact on black people globally, if we want to be honest. It doesn't have any impact. That the stuff you're talking about is not impacting black people in Africa. It's not impacting black people in South America, or any other place right here. So to sit up here and talk about all this crazy stuff, it makes no matter. If black people get on code and start depending on themselves or whatever, they can do a lot of this stuff on their own. You know, but you don't want to talk about that. You want to talk about some fairy tales. You want to talk about all this other stuff right here and Hotep and this and that, all this other kind of stuff that don't mean a damn thing at the end of the day, bro. You could put your thumb down. I don't care. Like I said, you the one babbling in here. This is magpie mumbo jumbo. That's what it is. It's magpie mumbo jumbo. And I've heard enough of it, really, to be honest. Now you can get back on topic, and we can talk about some politicking, and we can talk about this brother that just lost his life a couple years ago behind some nonsense, something that happens far too often in this country. You know, that's what we can talk about. The space ain't finna stay open much longer. I don't want to hear about no damn Bantu and fighting inside of ancient Rome and the gladiators and the Greeks and the Polynesians and all the rest of it. I don't care. I don't care about Noah's Ark or none of the rest of it either, or Jack and the Beanstalk either. Okay, here we talk about facts. We talk about we can source up and actually prove stuff. That's what curation. That's what makes it so vital. I can actually source up and bring you the actual articles and give it right to the actual source that it came from. All this other stuff you're talking about is goofy. It's idiotic. Real quick, let me give a shout out to my people. Let me give a shout out to Miss Trigger. Let me give a shout out to the man on maintenance on wheels. Let me give a shout out to Trenton Makes as well too for their contribution. But I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. This fairy tale. This ain't Fantasy Island. This ain't Tattoo or none of this other stuff here. Please, I don't care about 5,000 years ago. Ain't gonna change exactly what happened today. People over here losing their lives every day. Black people being squeezed out by all these other groups and stuff like that. Political power. They want to make sure black people don't have any. Black people, I don't want to hear about that. Unless you can sit here and tell us how you can get political power, how black people can become bigger in this economy or something like that. I don't want to hear all of this dumb stuff here, because to me, it doesn't make any sense. And we came over here and as an ally, and you made sure that you told us that you were an immigrant, a black immigrant, then come and speak like an ally. Don't sit up here. Nobody told you that you were sitting at the head of the table here. You don't sit at the head of the table and we sit over there with the kids. Okay? Not here. Now come. Now I'm gonna tell you straight up, dude. Come in here with some respect, because you came in here disrespecting. At first, you was kind of cool, but I could still kind of hear the condescending tone in your voice. I can hear it. I was like, oh, here we go. This is what a lot of black people have a certain issue with other black people when they come over and they're gonna tell you exactly what you need to do. Now they ain't doing it in their own homeland, but they experts over here about what you need to do. You can give us all this stuff about world history. And you can talk about how many you read this many books and you read this many chapters and you read that many outlines. That don't mean a damn hill of beans at the end of the day. Straight up.
Hey, dog, I gotta just say this one thing. I know you want to move on in this space. So, just with that being said, or whatever. My back. So with that being said, how long have you been up here on Twitter? And you're so smart, you haven't figured out that we're delineating. So it's like all that stuff you just said, you just wasted our time and yours. It's being overlooked, right? You know what I'm saying? We only worried about the Negroes here in this country, man. We can't worry about everybody no more. So what you should do actually is take this space, this information that's recorded, take it back to your ethnic background lineage, because anything that's post-Civil War, you are from where you are from, fam. You're from where you're from. I'm from Brick City, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where you're from, in all honesty. And you said America. You didn't say what state, town, city, any of that. So you're not one of us in that light.
Listen, we delineating, but like I said before, I have no issue working with somebody from the diaspora if that person is on code and that person is about business. I have no issue whatsoever working with that person. But when you start coming over here and you're talking about this and that, all this other crazy stuff, then I can't get with it. Because like I say, I got friends from the diaspora, from Jamaica, from Haiti and everything, and I'm cool with them. I'm straight with them. And we get down like that. So there's no disrespect that you can delineate, but yet those are still my people there. I support them. They support me. They understand that. But when you start sitting up here and you got your nose up in the air, and there's an elder say your ass on your shoulders, then there's an issue right there. There's a problem right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna unmute this, and I don't want to hear about when the pyramids was built. I don't want to hear about when the pyramids was built. I don't want to hear about the Nile River. I don't want to hear about when they crossed the Red Sea. I don't want to hear about none of that, because none of that matters to what's going on today. I don't even want to hear it.
Talk about okay. Well, the solution
solution to white supremacy is to put white people back on the bottom caste, as we were told to do multiple times now. That's the solution. Now you know the answer.
Okay, that was irrelevant to waste time for you to even jump up here and say that, because part of delineation.
I mean, I'm getting strong man no matter what I say, so at this point, I just got to get to the point. Put white people back in the chains, like General Soa said. That will solve white supremacy.
Well, hold on a second, Xander. You still haven't made a point for the simple fact we asked you what it is you have done.
I've already posted the document. You can read it on your own time. I'm done. Your strong man needs the 30 minutes. And done.
Tell us exactly, specifically, how you been able to get the diaspora or black folks, whatever you want to call it, Caribbeans, together on some Pan-African type way to make moves, bro. Tell us that. That right there.
Yeah, let this dude let this dude disconnect, man. Because hey, Sean, go ahead and unmute your mic, man.
Did he run off? Hey, man, this is what you say tether, man. You fleeing, son. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, let Sean. Hey, hold on. Let Sean go ahead and speak. Go ahead, Sean.
Listen, I mainly came up to try to get back on topic. I think people engage in fantasy for ultimate worker boy. You talk about all that stuff, you ain't got to go work. And we know that. So go play in the sandbox. We'll call you back. The job is done. Maybe you can give us some entertainment. So here's my thing. I was thinking about it. So basically, I think blacks showed something where blacks voted for Tate 30%. Now let me ask you guys this question: our biggest strength, if we can call it that, as voters, was we voted primarily Democrat. But the problem with that, you guys know the problem with that. I don't have to articulate that. If we're starting to look like every other demographic where they basically almost vote split between both parties, will that weaken our voting power or strengthen it? What's your guys' opinion on that?
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Don't vote for not a damn thing until they give you something specifically for us. Because see, here's what's happening. Since everybody else is voting down the middle, that makes our votes more valuable. We're what you call the scale tipper. So right now, even when you got a bunch of these border jumpers coming across the border, you have a bunch of these alternative groups in America. Every one of them are going to vote right down the damn middle. Black Americans have been the only ones to have any type of loyalty. We've been voting for people that's been trying to kill us. Now think about that. So until the way we have our power is say, look, our own self-interest. We ain't done a damn thing negative to nobody except ourselves. And we paid other people to do something negative to us. That's why the reason when it comes to anybody who's outside, you just saw a prime example of it in this room. You get an immigrant coming over here to America, trying to tell black Americans how to move. If they come over here and they don't sit down and just follow our instructions, that includes the Democrats, Republicans, Independents, the gays, Zionists, whatever the hell they are. When we tell them, look, this is what you got to do first. Because look, when you look at how the balance of power is shifting in these houses, the Democrats could walk around with their chest poked out when they thought that we were stupid enough to think that only Republicans were racist. They could come and push all these other groups up to basically subjugate black Americans, fabricate a bunch of fake minority groups like LGBT and people of color and trans, shit like that. Every time we've allowed them to use our face, use our righteous indignation to try to push an agenda, that weakens us. Because every group, once they get over here, just like the ones that are already here, if they can form some type of fabricated minority group, which none of them have a legitimate claim if they don't tie black Americans into it, if we don't allow them to do that, they have to swim on their own. Now, once somebody has to swim on their own, they're going to have to come to a group of people who are actually legitimately owed. It's just like if somebody want to get money from you, you don't owe them. Somebody else you do owe. The person that you owe is your debtor.
that's the one that you have an allegiance to. So as far as us, withhold your vote until they say, look, Black Americans, we're afraid of our own people. Right now, you have these whites killing other whites overseas and everywhere else. They march to the Capitol with guns. Whites have a history of basically killing themselves. Look at the Inquisition. You know what I'm saying? They're the ones that have this issue with authority. So until they come with something specifically for Black Americans, and we have our own organization, set up a Black Bureau, somewhere we tell the government, send the money here, and then we'll hire our own people to decide what Black people get what in this country from there. That's what we need to do. Now I'm mute.
All right, thanks for that. What about y'all? What y'all think is splitting of our vote ultimately beneficial, or can it hinder us in the long run?
Well, I mean, I think just voting primarily for one party, we see where it's got us from. I mean, I think it's to the point that you have to go ahead and start voting on the actual politician and not party anymore along party lines. I think we should actually be independents. Personally, I don't think we should belong to any party. But if there's somebody that's a Republican or a Democrat worth voting for, then that person gets your vote. But I don't think we should belong to either party myself. I mean, one party is totally, the Republicans have totally told us straight up they're not going to do anything. Another party is taking you for granted forever. They say thank you election time, but that's it. So that's where we're at. Like, we have no friends with either one of them. So we should treat it like that. Make it a business transaction. We only give what we get back.
Thanks for that. What about you guys, Black, DJ, Original, Trouble?
Hey, I apologize. I had to drop out for 2 seconds. Well, I heard my name still strong.
I agree with Newstoter. I think we should be independent. I think at this point in time, we've already been hurt for the party that we overwhelmingly give our vote to, and that really hasn't done anything for us. Switching over to Republican Party is still detrimental because, like Toter said, they aren't promising to do anything for us, and they've made it clear that they aren't going to do anything for us. But becoming independents, and sometimes you got to take an L before you can start getting some wins. And so I'm sure short term, pulling our vote back may hurt us in some small ways, but I mean, we done been through rougher stuff before, so we got to take a political L for a few years or whatever just to send a message. Then I think that's what it is. Our vote needs to become unpredictable, and at this point, it is too predictable. So by us becoming unpredictable as independents, that will kind of bring more to the table than what's currently being offered. Like Newstoter said, it's not about a party at this point; it's about a player. A long time ago, I stopped going for special sports teams being for the whole team, and I just started liking certain players that play for whatever team and looking for that player when I watch a game. So I think that's how we need to do our politics, not party, policies over party, and that's that. That's how I feel.
Can I say something to that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Black Americans, we can't tell the difference between these damn parties when who's in office. It doesn't make us no difference, but everybody else can. When we decide to sit out of an election, they had to steal that election from Donald Trump. But they have some foolish Negroes to get up there, act like somehow that to basically hide behind us and say, look, this is what happens when you live in a country with oppression. If no Black folks speak up on it, one group of white folks can't oppress another group of white folks. That's their criminality being shown to the world. But as soon as they get some Negro to pop their head up to point it, well, look at how these racist white people acted on January the 6th. Just like we're doing with this Middle Eastern conflict. Sit the hell out of it. Because don't break up a fight between Lucifer and Satan when you see it. We don't have no dogs in neither one of those fights. All we can do is say is this. We've been denied we've been owed for centuries. So the best thing we can do is say, look, whichever one of y'all going to start giving something specifically to us. I know the Democrats can't win without black Americans, so we don't have to go vote for Trump. Let them fight that out. They're not going to blame us for some negative policy that Trump came up with. They're not going. The Republicans are going to blame us for no more transgender bathrooms and black males putting on wigs competing against females in sports. We're going to sit the hell out of it. Say, look, here's what we want you to do for us. Make our position clear and let them fight their degeneracy out amongst themselves. I'm mute.
Go ahead, Black. You got it.
Okay. Man, I just really wanted, I wish that guy would have stayed in the space because, locking up 700 million European white albinos in chains, man, I would love how he would want to accomplish that feat. But at any rate, here's what's going on down here in Mississippi. Tate Reeves has been suffering at the polls. His lieutenant governor got about 45,000 more votes than he did, maybe even 47,000. They've already called the race for the lieutenant governor, who was the incumbent Republican. And it's not looking good for the Democrat against Reeves, unfortunately. But good thing is most of the black counties, and specifically Jackson City and the Hinds County, which is where the largest population is, hasn't been counted yet. So he's down about, let's say, about 80,000 votes right now, 78,000 votes. So hopefully these black counties come in and ushers this thief of a governor out of the governorship, and at the very least, black Americans in Mississippi get some type of, it's not going to be great, but it should be significantly better over the other guy. To Sean's question, it's going to be very dependent on where the election is, the city, the town, the county, the district, the demographics of that particular area, because if you're already in a highly populated black area, you're voting for somebody that's local, you're likely not going to change much with trying to vote for a Republican. I don't even know why you would want to do that, to be quite honest. It probably wouldn't be that beneficial. If it's a county-wide race, statewide race, and these national races, I think what ends up happening is you hurt the Democrat, but you may not necessarily do that much for the Republican, because most of their votes are not coming from our population, or not even factored in. For Trump this time around, I think what happened the last time, COVID hurt him, and his voters didn't turn out. I think it was more of a situation where he lost votes versus our vote, winning it for Biden. And when I look at that election, they said we were 22% of 80 million, which is almost 19 million votes. And that's almost like 100% of our votes. I'm new to this, and I'm looking at these numbers, but I'm almost like, man, nobody votes at 100%. It's nearly almost impossible for Biden to have gotten 19 million or 18 million black Americans to vote for him in that election. And so, whatever, it is what it is. But I don't think it would be beneficial. And I don't think it's a solution. I know a lot of people have floated that out there as a potential solution, but you really got to be showing me the actual election, the actual voters. We got to look at all the past records of Republican versus Democrat, and then we got to figure out if we take away enough votes from the Democrat and give it to the Republican, if it actually makes a difference. And sometimes I just don't think it will. So I'm kind of mixed on it.
Hey, let me speak on that albino situation again. That dude don't know what he's talking about because he had to check his own stuff when I said to him. So basically, an albino is a person that has specific elements of carbon not in them. You know what I'm saying? AKA melanin, which is carbon is really what it is. You know what I'm saying? So how can a person that's came from the Caucasus Mountain, went to Kyrgyzstan, be black? And then that's what he was really trying to imply, because he turned around and switched it and said, no, I'm talking about the Indian albinos. Well, albinos are from all over Africa. You know what I'm saying? So, and they're still African. They just don't have pigmentation, you know what I'm saying, in that light. So what the hell was he even talking about?
Yeah.
It makes sense. And if anything, the albinos, they the original white people because they actually have white outer skin. White.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, my mic.
All right.
And
Yeah.
don't get white mixed up with that Caucasian either. That's something else they like to do.
Real talk, y'all. We're gonna get ready to close this out. I see Tata up in here. Alyssa, what's going on? Goddess, Carlos, and the rest of you guys. Shout out to Minister Ali. I see you at the bottom as well too. So shout out to everybody up in the space tonight, guys. Callie, I see you up in here. We're gonna close this thing out for the night, but we'll be back tomorrow night. We won't be doing a space. I'm trying to think. Is next week one day off? One day next week. I'm trying to think. I know we won't be doing one. I'm not sure. One day next week. I know I'm gonna be one space short, but regardless, we'll keep you guys posted and whatnot. So shout out to everybody in the space. Thank you guys once again. This was a pretty good space that we had old boy coming here babbling, but outside of that, I appreciate you guys. So we'll
Hey, can I say one thing about the Trump thing? I ain't speak on that. You know what I mean?
go ahead real quick.
Real quick. So I went Big Mama today, Auntie. We talk about politics, right? Make a long story short. Hold on. Let that taco busy. Hold on 1 second.
What happened?
DJ being greedy, he done pull up to the taco spot. He ordering his food because he greedy.
Hey, I would just say, yo, I had to go half and half today, yo. That's what I was wanting to say, yo. I had to do half and half today, based off of what my aunt was saying. Like, yo, you don't want these other folks running you. Like, you don't want these other folks representing you. And when I went to go vote, I said, damn, listening to Auntie, she got in my head. So I had to vote a little bit of Democrat, a little bit of Republican, and I filled in some names. There you go. Go ahead, close it out.
All right, guys. So we'll see you guys tomorrow night. So make sure y'all join us at the regular time, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For the people on YouTube, that's 8:10. So everybody be safe. Have a good night. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.
Peace. Rest in peace, Elijah McClain. There you go.
All right. Peace to everybody on YouTube. We'll see you guys tomorrow night, 8:10 Eastern Eastern Time. Excuse me. Good night.